Hello my dear friends and welcome to the CISSP Success Toolkit. I am starting this brand new series to help you understand the core concepts of CISSP. You know what? Many people, they go through multiple books and they practice thousands of questions. Even after that they fail. You know why? Because CISSP is a concept based exam and you need to understand the base concept and also need to understand how do we tackle these kind of questions, right? So in this entire series I am going to give you a brief download of what a particular concept is and then what are the kind of questions which you should be clear about. What are those concepts which you should be always clear about? So we will start with the first objective, domain number 1 and CISSP Objective 1.0. This particular objective says understand, adhere to and promote professional ethics. So this talks about ethics, this talks about the professional ethics, this also talks about the organizational ethics as well, and finally we land up understanding the ISC2 Code of Ethics. Now this is a very testable and 100% guaranteed area where you will get at least 1 or 2 questions. Why not we solidify it, right? Just by going through this particular video, I can give you guarantee you can definitely score that particular, because I am going to give you the tricks of the trade in this entire video. With that said, let's get into this entire thing and try to understand what is what. First thing, we need to understand what is ethics. So ethics basically refers to the moral value that governs a person's behavior or perspective or conduct for a particular activity. Ethics is very much impacted by somebody's entire culture, the particular environment or the past experiences as well. Everybody may have different ethics in a particular company, and that can be a big challenge for any company, and that is why companies are actually coming up with something called as organizational ethics as well, so that all of the employees in the company, they follow the same ethics which is documented and which is also coming to the form of mandatory ethics training. If you are working for a corporate, you might have already noticed it that you go through some mandatory ethics training. That is not a liberty, that's not something as a feature, right? That is the legal requirement, that is part of the due care. So just about that, important culture comes in when people have good ethics, good security ethics, good risk aware ethics, and that is how as a security professional you need to push that behavior all the time. With that said, let's get into understanding also what is professional ethics as well. Now you might have seen, right, a doctor consults so many patients. Does a doctor reveal the information of one patient to somebody else? No, right? That is part of their professional ethics. Similarly, a lawyer may deal with multiple clients and they also do not disclose that. Similarly, we as cybersecurity professional, we also must have certain ethics. We should be more ethical in our behavior, because it is a very important task which we are going to do for the society. With that said, let's also dive into some kind of ethics which has been laid out by ISC2, and they call it as ISC2 Code of Ethics. There are total 4 ethics and they call it as canons. So the canon number 1 is protect society, the common good, necessary public trust and confidence and the infrastructure. This particular ethics is completely focusing on your behavior towards the society. You should always be working in the common good of the society. Please remember, because this is social good, you are acting for the particular society. This is priority number 1 for all and every time for you, right? So that's your canon number 1. Canon number 2 is purely based on your personal content, or on your personal conduct, which means you have to act honorably, you have to act honestly, you have to be justly, you have to be responsibly and legally. Let me explain a little bit. When we say honorably, you have to be honorable to everyone. and irrespective of, even if you are doing a particular investigation, even to those people as well who are whom you are interrogating as well. So you have to be honorable to each and everyone. When we say honest, you have to be honest to your principals, you have to be honest to the society, you have to be honest to your particular clients. When we say justly, that means, let's say you are handling a particular investigation, and in that particular investigation, as an investigator, you are preparing a report, or you are collecting some evidence or analyzing those evidence. You as a cybersecurity professional have always to be based on facts. Do not make your own biases. Do not conclude yourself. In a particular investigator role, for example, you are supposed to only collect relevant artifacts and put up the best facts on the table. That is what your responsibility is. So that is what it means by justly. Then responsibly means you have to take the responsibility all the time, and you have to take the accountability and then accept that particular accountability. Legally means any of the work you are doing, any of the activity you are doing, it has to be legally correct all the time. If you are collecting a particular evidence and the particular person is not informed, or you are searching somebody home for some kind of evidences, if you go without a warrant, it is not as per ethics. So these are the kind of stuff when it comes to your personal behavior as a security professional, and this is what ISC2 want you to actually adhere to all the time. Let's go to the professional ethics number 3, that is provide diligent and competent services to your principal. So this simply means that you have to give your best, best of your knowledge, best of your skill, best of your competency to your principal. The last one is advance and protect the profession, which means that all the time you have to strive to update your knowledge, keep yourself updated with the knowledge to counter the upcoming challenges always in cybersecurity, number 1. And second thing, you have to always be an ambassador of cybersecurity. You have to promote this particular culture. If you see somewhere people defaming cybersecurity, they are not talking the right sense, this is the time for you to act. So on this basis, what you do when you progress your personal career as well, you keep learning as well, ISC2 also asks you to fulfill certain continuous professional education points which you have to prove every year as well, right? So these are the 4 ethics from ISC2 which you need to follow. What all we covered till now? So we have covered in, we understood what is ethics, what is organizational ethics, what is professional ethics, and what is ISC2 Code of Ethics. Now let's try to validate this and see what kind of questions may come and how they may test you out on these particular concepts, and your concept should be super clear. Before I dive into this, please listen to this bird, and this is asking you to subscribe, so that way I will also be a lot motivated and bring you more and more valuable stuff as we go forward. With that, let's get into this and see this first question. A CISSP candidate encounters a situation where disclosing a security vulnerability to the public could potentially cause panic and disruption for the employer. In this scenario, it is acceptable to withhold the information temporarily for prevent chaos. Now, a very probable question, they may put you under the bus by putting it such a scenario. How you are going to act? So as a cybersecurity professional, even if your employers or even if your clients are not happy with certain thing, in ISC2 Code of Ethics, always remember the social good, the number 1 canon is always on the top priority. So the priority wise, it is like 1, 2, 3, 4. First, it is common good for the society, then comes your personal behavior, then comes your best services to your employers, and lastly it comes to your own development and protecting the entire profession. So in that sense, if you are not going to disclose that particular vulnerability, because this is a severe vulnerability, there can be a lot more damage to the society, and just in case you are not reporting that just to make your employers happy or just to take care of their interest, I don't think it is the interest of ISC2. So that way this particular question can definitely be marked as false. This is one of the concepts you should drive for your CISSP exam. With that said, let's validate one more question here. The question says, you discover a critical 0-day vulnerability in a widely used network operating system. Widely used, that means the society is getting impacted. There will be a lot of stakeholders who are impacted because of this, right? Reporting the vulnerability publicly through a responsible disclosure process would expose a large number of organizations to potential attacks before a patch is applied. In this scenario, the CISSP should report the vulnerability directly to the vendor. Now, you might be working as a big bounty hunter, and if you or let's say you are not even working as a big bounty hunter, you get a vulnerability about something which is super critical. There are two ways in which you can report the vulnerability. Number one is ethically. You actually give time to the vendors to come out with the patch, and then only you release the if they are not able to respond within the stipulated time, that is where you are going to report to the the entire, you can report the vulnerability publicly. I think that's the best way to do, and that is what is called as responsible responsible disclosure of the vulnerability. And that is where this particular question is also asking you. Should you go for responsible disclosure, or you should take the another way in which you find a vulnerability and just to grab media attention on all of those kind of stuff, you just go and immediately make it public. I think if you immediately make it public, patch is anyways not available. Patch has to come from the vendors all the time. It makes sense to actually go and have a responsible disclosure for this particular vulnerability. So go ahead and talk to your vendors or inform them and give them a stipulated time within which they can come out with the patch. That is the right ethical behavior. So this is definitely a true question, just to take to the concept. I hope you are learning good. Let's go to the next concept. Choosing not to disclose a security breach to client or stakeholder to avoid reputational damage is acceptable if the breach has successfully contained and remediated. Now this says you are prohibiting yourself from reporting a particular vulnerability because it has already been fixed and there will be a lot of reputational damage for somebody else. Actually, this is against the ISC2 Code of Ethics. If you see the Code of Ethics number 2, which says act honestly, justly, responsibly and legally, all those kind of stuff, right? If you don't do that, you are not legally correct. If you find something which is a security breach, as per the law, you are supposed to report that. Now, for reporting that, I am not saying you directly go and start reporting to the legal authorities about any company. There is definitely a channel which you must follow. ISC2 also tests you in the entire examination, not just for your security knowledge or attitude. They also test you out for your organizational attitude as well. As a company guy, as a guy who is working in a company, you must have some organization skills. You must respect the processes. You also must respect the proper communication to the line of authority and then report something. So do not just say that you go to media and expose something, or you go to the legal authority and report something. You have to go through the proper channel. But if there is a breach, you are supposed to report. If you are not reporting it, it is not ethical. So that is why it is not at all a good practice to follow. That is a false statement. With that said, let's go to the next question. When faced with conflicting instructions from senior management and established security protocols, a CISSP candidate should prioritize following senior management directive to maintain organizational harmony. Now, these are the kind of questions which will always keep you so confused, and you will not be able to think through, right? You know what? This particular question is hinting if there are documented procedures which has been brought up by your management previously and they are already in existence, they are active, and now you see some kind of management or a new guy has joined, a new boss has joined, and he is asking you to do something which is not as per the documented procedures, should you follow him? No, right? I don't think that's a good thing to do. Yes, it does not mean that you show your adamancy to them, you don't agree with them. That is not the intent. The intent is always respect whatever documentation and whatever the policies which has been put up in place in an organization. Yes, sometimes the senior management may be completely against to that, and that is the best time where you have the opportunity to communicate security in their own languages. So instead of just behaving adamantly, you should try to educate them more about security, and you should tell them that these are the procedures and the policies which has come through a lot of formal process of risk assessment, getting to know your internal risk, external risk, and it makes a lot of sense. If you ask me to do something different, then let us do the risk assessment again, update the policies, and let's go through a structured process to do something else. So that is another important thing to think through this particular question. So as the question is saying, when faced with conflicting instruction from senior management and established security protocol, a CISSP should prioritize senior management? No, and that is why this particular answer is a false one. So I think this gives you the right perspective and the alignment for your real CISSP exam. This is the alignment which is actually required. Just don't think you are a security guy, they are going to ask you only about security. They want to see your ethical conduct, your behavioral conduct as well in the entire exam. Are you good to be now given a particular like CISSP designation? Because you are ethical, you know the organization process, you respect the process, you respect roles and responsibility. That's what. With that said, let's go and validate your understanding on the next question. This question says, if in a given scenario indicate breach of ISC2 Code of Ethics canon number 1 and 3, the canon number 3 must be prioritized. So number 1 is for the social good, number 3 is for the profession. Which one you should follow? At times you may have challenges because your employers may throw you out of the job obviously, right? And you may feel like that is your priority. The other one, the social good is not your priority. No, that is a completely wrong thinking, and you need to prioritize always the social good. So the way the ISC2 Code of Ethics has been listed down, always prioritize the top one. If you feel there is a conflict between two canons and there is a conflicting answer in that, I would recommend you to always go and follow the top one. You will always be right, believe me, it's my experience. So I think this clarifies you. So in that particular case, this is a false statement and you can take it as a concept. With that said, let's see this one. As per ISC2, the professional ethics are the highest priority in a given situation. Not at all, right? What is the first priority? The first priority is your you can say the social good, and then on the second place comes your professional ethics. Number one is always social good. If there is a conflict between the two, even though both are on priority, but if there is a conflict between the two, you are always going to prioritize the social good, and next comes your professional ethics. So that is the kind of stuff which you need to understand. So based on that, this particular question is also false. Let's go through one more. This particular question. Any breach of the ISC2 Code of Ethics, act honorably, honestly, justly, responsibly and legally, can be only reported by the employer and the client. Guys, this is also very important thing you need to understand. Who can report what? So simple, if the breach of Code of Ethics is for ethics number 1 and 2, that means against the society or against the your personal conduct, right? You may impact a wider community because of your lack of integrity, lack of ethics. So your case can be reported by anyone. Anybody across there can report you to the ISC2. They have to fill up a form, a particular ethics form, and that goes to the ISC2 ethics committee. They are going to take a decision on that. Number one. Number second, if the ethical behavior is against a particular employer, that means you are working for a company and you are not working in the interest of your employer, code of ethics number 3, then it makes sense that the ethics reporting should be done by your employer. If somebody want to report against you, that should be your employer, because anyways that particular ethics is for providing the due diligence services, or you can say diligent service to your employers, right? So that is number 3. If let's talk about number 4. Number 4 is advance and protect the profession. If there is a breach, then who should report? It should be a certified guy who should actually report for that. It should not be everyone. It should be only a report, only the certified guy. So just to conclude, breach of ethic number 1 and 2 has to be reported by anyone. Breach for canon number 3 can be reported only by the employer. Breach for canon number 4 can be reported only by a certified guy. Now you may also wonder, what is the end outcome? What is the maximum punishment if the particular ethics is not being followed and you are found guilty of that? Then in that particular case, you can be the particular designation of CISSP can be taken back from you. So with that, guys, I think we are done with this particular section. I hope you learned a lot from this ISC2 Code of Ethics Objective number 1.1. Please remember, this is the core on which you are going to be tested in your CISSP exam. And definitely by going through this entire video, I hope you go and score at least 1 or 2 marks extra in your CISSP exam. With that said, if you are somebody who is passionately trying and preparing for CISSP, consider visiting cybernows.com. I host a very good program called as CISSP Success Toolkit, which is the best program to get you CISSP certified, all through roundup, everything in one single place. That is what you can get in CISSP Success Toolkit. If you want to also connect me just for mentoring purposes, feel free to also connect me over LinkedIn. You can see that particular link in the description and reach out to us. Do not forget to subscribe and like this particular videos so that next time I am coming with another topic, I can, you can get my videos. With that, thank you very much and Jai Hind. We will meet in next video.